Welcome to Metaphysical Soul Speak. I'm your host, Elena Fox Starks. Hey guys, I hope that whenever and wherever you are when listening to this particular recording, that you are able to move through the chaos in your lives with ease. And if it's not in your direct life, that you're able to deflect the chaos away from you and remain relatively calm and drama-free. I mean, don't invite it to your life. No drama, mama. Don't want any drama, trauma, mama. But I have been surrounded by chaos, and it's closing in. But in the U.S., there's some chaos I'm going to talk about first. If you are still vaping, you need to quit immediately. And I know just a couple months ago, I was doing a commercial about vaping for the CBD oil. And the company has discontinued it because of what I'm about to tell you. Now, I think it's last week or 2 weeks ago that I mentioned that there have been a lot of THC vaping related health issues and 12 deaths, but as of today, there has now been 18 deaths in the United States due to vaping THC. They did find in a couple studies that they've done at the CDC and a couple other places that there is hydrogen cyanide found in the lungs of some of the deceased people. This is because there is a fungicide that was used, apparently, to grow the weed, and when it is burned or vaped, when it's heated up, this fungicide turns into hydrogen cyanide. Do you guys remember the old Control and Chaos headquarters against each other in the spy game in the 1960s hilarious TV show, Get Smart with Don Adams? I don't know if you guys ever saw that, but if you ever get your hands on those CDs, oh my God. You better pee before you watch them because you will pee your pants laughing. So, control versus chaos. And it's like such a huge metaphor for life. And it's a huge metaphor for this very moment in time for a lot of reasons. But, you know, I thought vaping would be an excellent idea. And last year I was vaping cannabis oil, like CBD oil, which had a little bit of THC in it. Might account for the fact that I've had to take steroids quite a bit this past year. It does apparently cause lung damage. Oh my God. So there have been 1,080 cases reported. There have been 18 deaths so far. Among the people who are dying, the median age of those who are dying are 50 years old. And the median age of the people who are being hospitalized and gain better and released are 23 years old. So if you're my age and you're vaping THC, you need to just knock that shit off. Go back to your bong. Go back to your joints. Go decarboxylate that shit and make like oil and add it to your brownies or your popcorn, okay? Make yourself some popcorn. But just stop the vaping. Stop the vaping. It's absolutely deadly. There is a new disease going around. They haven't been able to pinpoint it, People are coming down with nausea, fevers, and chills. They're very, very sick. They can't breathe. They can't catch their breath. Some of the medically induced comas until they can figure out how best to treat the person. This is not good, people. This is like one of the worst things that can happen. It came out of something so full of douchebaggery funness. I mean, I love vaping. Oh my God. I still have my vape. I haven't thrown it away. I'm just sad about it. And I have 2 flavors of vape on my shelf in the living room still, and I'm not using them. One has nicotine. It was accidental. It was like put in the wrong package. We were supposed to get we bought the one that said no nicotine, and it had nicotine in it. When we smoked it, my son and I got all jittery. We're like, ah! So we didn't ever smoke it again after the one time, and we didn't return it because we'd opened it. So I mean, I know I have to just throw it away. I haven't done it yet, but I'm scared. Like, this is really, really creepy stuff, man. It's a new disease, and it's attacking people's lungs when they vape THC. And it's regardless of the company you use, regardless of the vape pen you use, regardless of what company you buy, if it's aftermarket or directly from the manufacturer, it doesn't seem to matter. But whatever this disease is, it's attacking people's lungs. And I said it from the get-go, I think it's the alveoli in the lungs that are being attacked. And the alveoli is the smallest part, like the air goes in your lungs, down your bronchial tubes, and into, the smaller and smaller branches until the very teeny tiny air sacs at the end of everything. And they're really teeny and tiny, but they're very delicate. And they've been, apparently, in autopsies, they found that they were filled with oil. And no air can be exchanged when there's oil. And when people are using nicotine, it doesn't seem to be as dangerous as THC, ironically. But the thing is, 17% of the people who were hospitalized said that they were only using nicotine, and the rest were using THC. But I have a feeling that 17% just were too paranoid to admit it. They might have been in places where it's not legal. So I don't know. I'm really scared about it. I just, stick to your bongs, stick to your normal papers, bake it in a brownie, baby. Make your weed butter. It's hard. It's a pain in the ass to babysit weed butter, but if you make a pound of it, that you only need like 1/4 of a teaspoon, and you're high for 24 hours. I mean, and you have no more pain in your body. It's a million times better than vaping, because it's not going to hurt you. But vaping actually might, and I'm very upset. I'm very upset that I thought it wouldn't, even just like a few weeks ago, And I had been promoting it for a while, so my apologies for that. I mean, you don't know till you know. So that's the first chaotic thing. And that, by the way, has happened in the U.S., I think it was at the Virgin Islands and 48 of the 50 states. So, I mean, it's not like an outbreak in only Colorado, for example. It's from California all the way to New York and up and down, east and west, front and back, in and out, I don't know, all over the whole U.S. and Canada. But the CDC is only concerned with U.S. citizens because that's their jurisdiction, but this has also been happening in Canada as well. So anyone that's vaping, just tell them to throw that thing away right now because of this weird new lung disease. And I honestly believe it's something, I think it might be a virus. It's so small that maybe they can't really tell. It could be a bacterium, but it might even be a fungus, to be honest, but it's attacking people that are vaping, and they're getting serious permanent lung damage. And this is no laughing matter. This is no joke. As far as my own health is concerned, I wanted to say thank you. About 4 people have written me that heard my show saying that I've been poisoned. I'm a lot better today. I didn't die. So clearly it wasn't radiator fluid. I had all the symptoms of that. I was really scared about it. And then the second day, it was a little bit more looking like a little bit of cyanide or what they put in rat poison in, but just a little bit, So, my stomach still hurts a little bit today, but I'm feeling better. My aura is better. I'm more pink looking, more normal. My aura is more normal, pinkish, more healthy looking today. So I do feel better. I know I sound stronger and I feel stronger. Thank you, God. I cooked for myself today, and this is where the chaos continues, though. So last night I took a shower. I wanted to make sure my hair was clean so I could just get up and go on out to the grocery store. And I live on a very busy street, and every 2 to 3 minutes a taxi goes by. So you're never standing in front of my building more than 5 minutes without a taxi offering you a ride. And so it's an extremely awesome place to live as far as that, because if you tell someone you're going to be there at a certain time, you're pretty much guaranteed you're going to be there because there's so many taxis. But chaos being what chaos be, I woke up this morning with a warning from the United States government, basically from the embassy in Quito. They wanted to let me know because I'm on their alert list just in case anything is happening. I mean, I don't know if you guys have ever heard of the STEP program, but if there's any foreign travel, if you're an American and you are doing any travel at all, you best get on the STEP program. Let the government know where you're going, how long you're going, and about where you're going to be, and give them your email. Because even though you don't want the government all up in your business, nobody does. This is the thing, though, is if there are riots or something major happening, and the government knows you're there, they're going to know to look for you. And they will look for you if you're part of the STEP program, right? And it's free. So, you just enter your passport and bada boom, bada bing, you're in the program. Well, I'm on the list for warnings of what's going on with expatriates living here, expatriates. So this morning I get this email saying basically that all of the highways will be closed. All of the major transportation forms, public transportation, will not be running as there are riots throughout all of Ecuador. Oh my God, riots throughout the whole sweet, loving, beautiful, peaceful country of Ecuador. Oh my God. Dios mío, hay riotas. Riots, there's riots. So, oh my God. Okay, so this is what's going on, is that President Lenin Moreno, who is our president right now, he is doing a lot of hard things to correct the bad course that Ecuadorian economy is on due to the bad decisions of Correa, which was the last president. And what happened is, I guess, everyone has been subsidized for electricity and gas and gasoline for cars. So basically what that means is the government is producing these things and giving it to the people at cost, and everything is 100% subsidized, which is pretty freaking cool. We've been living high off the hog. Well, no longer. We're going to be living low down around the ham hocks. As Tennessee Ernie Ford would have said when he was on I Love Lucy, he said that, and it was hilarious. But basically, last month they announced that the price of our gas for heating our food, house gas, that sounds kind of odd. Our house gas and our electricity is going to be going up. And that was announced about a month ago. Well, on, I think it was Tuesday this week, he said, we're no longer going to subsidize gasoline in the next 3 or 4 days, you will expect everything to rise. Well, diesel is going to be doubled in price, and gasoline was $1.30 per liter, and now it's going to be it was $1.70 per liter, now it's going to be $2.30 per liter. So 60 cents more per liter, which is not going to affect the average person a whole hell of a lot. I mean, any joyriding they used to do, they might stop, And the biggest people affected are going to be the long-haul truckers, the short-haul truckers, and the taxi drivers and all the buses. Now, when we get on a bus here for the city, we pay 35 cents. Or maybe it's 30. Actually, no, I'm sorry. It's 30 cents to take the bus anywhere in the city. That's it. 30 cents. The old people over 60 or 65, I believe they're paying 20 cents or 25 cents to take the bus. Well, that might have just doubled in price. And so this is not going to affect the majority of the people a whole lot, but everyone's angry about it because, hey, we're used to having a bunch of extra spending money. And in the more recent years, since all of these changes of everything being lowered in price has happened, my friend told me in the past few years, everyone's gotten so materialistic around here, especially the women have been very much like, they have to have the latest fashions, they have to have a lot of clothes, they have to have the nail polish and the lipstick and the hair done. And I've noticed it too, like 3 years ago when I came, the people seemed a lot more down to earth. And then when I moved here 2 years ago, it was like, wait a minute, people are seemingly very, like, why didn't I not notice the rampant materialism before? And I think that somehow it contributed, like when people were like, well, hell, I'm heating my whole house for $20 a month. All of my electricity is only $20 a month. Gas is like $6 a month. It's been ridiculously cheap, So that's been a big problem. That's been a big problem for people as far as now. I mean, now that things are getting back to normal, back to what it used to be. So it's kind of like, you say you make, $2,000 a month, and you always had, maybe $500 for extra. Now you have $800 for extra, and it's like, woo, I have $300, and I'm going to spend it on, clothes and shoes and nail polish and whatever. And I think the men have gotten a little bit more materialistic, but it's more seen a little bit in the women, I think, as far as the people I've spoken to. And I've talked to foreigners who've moved here, and they're like, wow, I really can't believe the materialism in the women. Like if you don't make enough money to support them and any kids you might have together, they don't want to go on the first date. And I'm like, well, that's understandable, but it just seems like that wasn't kind of the general gist of things when I first came to Ecuador. So I think that materialism thing is going to halt like quite a bit. I just have a feeling that it's going to halt quite a bit because this is pretty, I don't know, it's pretty serious. Like people are going to have to reevaluate what they're doing with their money and what they're doing with their lives. And it's emotionally hurtful, especially when they get used to being subsidized, the government not taking money for these things. But the problem is that the Ecuadorian government just had to borrow like $1 billion from the United States and the IMF, International Monetary Fund. Well, that's a big issue. And they actually have gotten the go-ahead and the okay from the IMF that over the next 10 years, we will be borrowing $10 billion more dollars. And that, I mean, like, if we don't pay it back if something really bad happens, our everything can collapse. And our economy here in Ecuador is based on the US dollar. We use dollars. Do you guys remember the old collectible Sacagawea coins? Well, guess where they all went to? Like, I'm paying taxis every day with Sacagawea dollars. You know, the gold ones that came out in the year 2000, I think, was the first one. And then they've had them come out every year since, and they weren't really catching on because they're like the size of a normal quarter in the United States. So also another weird thing is, remember how people were complaining in the U.S. about the John F. Kennedy half dollars that were huge, those huge honkin' coins? Okay, so Ecuador has their own 50-cent coins that they make. And we also use the huge honkin' JFK dollars here, half dollars here, because they're enormous. They're like 3 times or 4 times bigger than a quarter, but they're only worth, well, they're worth 2 quarters. They're huge. So anyway, it's kind of weird. It's like, it's American money, but it's American money that Americans have rejected for the most part. Also, there's a shit ton of pennies everywhere. And I know that the U.S. government in the U.S., they're trying to get rid of the penny. There was a lot of talk for a while of maybe phasing out the penny. And as it comes back to the government in various forms, they're going to just kind of secretly and silently melt it down and turn it back into copper or whatever else it's made of, copper plus whatever. And I don't know if they actually ever phased out the penny, but I noticed that a lot of things were no longer costing a penny. You know, and people have been paying with their credit cards, and they've been paying with their ATM cards, or they write a check mostly instead of cash. Some people still go by only cash, but so all the money that's been kind of rejected and a little bit taken out of circulation, where the government's like, yeah, we're not going to deal with this one anymore. It all came to Ecuador, and so it's in circulation, but here in this country. And even though it's still recognized in the U.S. as, money, it's not really common anymore. We do have all the state quarters. We have all of the state quarters here, which has been really interesting. And I've seen some state quarters here that I never saw in the U.S., so it's pretty neat. But we're worried about, Ecuadorians are worried about, and I'm becoming an Ecuadorian. I'm in the process of becoming a citizen here. I want to be a dual citizen and never give up my American citizenship for nothing, but I want to be a dual citizen. I want to have the rights that people have here because I love living here. So basically, we're kind of in deep, right now. We just are financially. And so the president's trying to correct all of the things that were leading to this, these problems, he's trying to correct it. He's not going to run for another re-election. He's not seeking to be reelected. He's just seeking to fix the problems that were caused by the president before. Even though everyone was suddenly like having tons of money and people were like, oh yeah, this is so easy. It's so cheap to live now. And it brought relief to a lot of the poorest people, but at the same time, it's bringing like a collapse to the government. And I mean, I'm all for anarchy. I've been considering getting an anarchy tattoo, okay? But I kind of can see where there's going to be a problem. I mean, I am in a socialized country, and socialized medicine, is here. So if you're sick and you don't have the money to pay for it, you can actually go to the free clinic, free hospital, and whatever happens there is absolutely free, and the government pays for it. But when they're not getting the money from all the other things, then what happens is it takes away money from the hospitals, right? And it takes money away from everything. So everything's been course corrected, well, as a result of all this. And because gas is now 60 cents more overnight. There's been rioting in the streets in every frickin' city, especially where I live. In Quito also. I haven't seen the news from Quito. I can't wait. I'm going to start looking it up tomorrow. But the riots are frickin' major. People are blocking roads with buses. People are blocking roads with like 15, 20 cars so that no one could get in and out. And then cars are being set on fire. The taxis are set on fire because taxi drivers realize they can't make a living under these circumstances, which is silly because they can. They're just going to have to raise the rates. It's $1.50 to start, and then whatever. I mean, the farthest point in town from where I live is $5. That's it. But maybe it'll be $5.50 now, and that's okay. It's only 50 cents more, and I think people can honestly afford that for the most part. And the people that can't afford taxis don't take the taxis anyway. They just take the buses. Anyway, this is a massive thing, and there was protests downtown. I saw a clip my friend sent me of a cop was shot with something like a BB or something in his forehead between the eyes. And he was taking a video of all of the rioters around him downtown in the park, in the center. And there were so many police, it was like wall-to-wall police holding people back from attacking the government building. We had, the police were throwing tear gas into crowds of like 400 people that were trying to mob, like going into the government building. And while this was happening, this cop was taking like a selfie of himself, and he was taking he showed like all the crowd and all the things going on, and then he was getting ready to talk into the camera again while taking a selfie, and he got shot between the eyes with like a BB gun, not with a gun. And I mean, thank God it was violent, but it wasn't that violent because bullets here are $50 each. That right there should be a lesson to the United States. Make bullets $50 each or $100 each, and no one's going to actually probably shoot anyone anymore. There won't be any more mall shootings because no one has $10,000 to go off a lot of people. Just, my 2 cents there. But the thing is, so this guy gets shot between the eyes, and the blood starts dripping down. It's all over his shirt, and he just screams, "Hija de puta!" Like, son of a bitch! Like, what the hell? And I mean, the people here in the city are so sweet and so loving and so kind, but right now they're so angry. And I don't blame them. Yeah, it is an angering thing. It should have been, gas prices should have gone up by 5 cents, and then next month by 10 cents. And, it should have been more gradual than all of a sudden, screw you guys, tomorrow it's 60 cents more per liter. Liters are smaller than gallons, so it's almost like $1.20 more per gallon would be like the equivalent in the US, which is pretty angering, to be honest. And, but I'm still looking at these prices going $2.30. I mean, shit, go to San Diego where it's almost $7 frickin' dollars. At least the last time I was in San Diego, that gas was almost $7 a gallon. Frickin' ridiculous. And in Solana Beach, where it's very expensive to live and be, but I have a timeshare there. And so I was down there visiting my timeshare and kicking it at the beach with my kids. And we went down to, San Diego, to see the dolphins. We had to go pet the dolphins because I knew that'd be a once-in-a-lifetime experience for my kids, even though I don't believe in keeping cetaceans in captivity. But I wanted my kids to at least see it and experience it for themselves. It was a happy memory from my childhood, even though it made me sad then too. And it made them sad, and it also raised their awareness. And so it was a good learning experience for a multitude of reasons. But so that's what's going on. I mean, so my son gets a call from his friend who said, "Look, I'm 6 blocks from your house. I'm really, really depressed. I'm really, really drunk. I really need a friend. I need you to come and talk to me." And so he went down there to talk to her. And as in the kind of misconnections, I guess she ended up forgetting or something, and she left anyway. my son was walking home and he's like, Mom, there was like a taxi on fire. There was like this massive roadblock with all these cars and looked like people were starting to set all the cars on fire. And then there was a man running and screaming in Spanish, they're going to stab me. They're going to stab me. And he was running as fast as he could. And there were 3 men on a motorcycle. On one motorcycle, 3 men. I mean, it's like Curly, Larry, and Moe, okay? And they're like freaking going after this guy with one of the guys had a knife in his hand. And they were like on a motorcycle going after a man who's running to get away, screaming his head off for his very life. And they're going to stab him. And he was like saying, they're going to kill me, they're going to stab me. And my son's like, oh, great, I'm glad I'm out in this, like, what the hell? So, like, the whole city's gone crazy. I'm not even leaving. And today was the day that I ran out of groceries and I ran out of food. And y'all know what happened with the food I was ordering. So I couldn't even get a taxi. I couldn't even go to the grocery store. I can't go shopping. I actually literally, and this is the ironic and weird part, is I had to go to the gas station. It has a little tiny bodega inside, like where you go to pay for the gas. They have like fruit and vegetables and meat and a whole bunch of, snacks. They even have wine. They have like this massively gorgeous wine rack with all this high quality, like Chilean and Argentinian wine. And if you ever get a chance, Argentina wine is some of the best in the world. Oh my God. I mean, it doesn't compare to California. It doesn't compare to France. Okay, granted. But I mean, French wine is French champagne. Yeah, none better. But Argentina and Chile do really well for themselves in South America. So I had to go to the gas station to get food. And the lady, I just told her, I'm so sorry, that now you have to raise your gas prices. It's going to be hard on you. And she's like, yeah. And I'm scared because, people might take it out on her. And it's a family. It's like the mom and the dad, and then they've got a couple daughters. And one of the daughters has a little girl. And, so it's like a family. It's just a family-run business. It's the gas station and the bodega. And they just put in brand new tables where people can go and sit and eat a hamburger. And they make fresh food there. Also, they have like salads and everything. It's a really cool little place. But I was just like, oh, I hope everything's going to be okay with you guys, And it's just, the country is out of control. All of the buses that go between cities stopped running. All of the buses in the city stopped running. All of the schools closed down. Most of the people, all of the government employees were told, don't go to work tomorrow. And because they can't, they just can't. And there's been road blockages outside every single city. People can't come in and out of cities at all, period. My friend who works in multiple cities, every day he's in a different city, he wrote me and he's like, I can't freaking get back to Cuenca, He's like, I'm in Machala and I can't leave. I'm like, oh my God. And he's like, please don't go outside. He's like, I've been seeing clips and videos. It is so dangerous in Cuenca right now. Don't go outside. I'm really scared for you. So that's what's going on. That's my chaos. That's the freaking chaos that's going on right now. It's like, what the hell, man? We're going right along and all of a sudden, bam, chaos. And then what's going on, Venezuelan refugees are coming down through Colombia and they're crossing the border at a rate of 4,500 people per day. And it's been a steady stream of people for the past month to 6 weeks. And the reason is, before the announcement of we're going to close our borders to Venezuelan refugees, before that announcement was made, it was only 2,800 people crossing the border. Now it's almost 5,000 people per day. In Colombia, the crime rate has gone up by 400% because of all the extra people coming in from Venezuela. And people are scared and they're desperate and they're robbing other people. And there's been a lot of violence because suddenly the Colombians are like, oh, hell no, what are you doing to us? Basically. And what the fuck, So all that's going on to our neighbors at the north And we don't have any neighbors to the west except for the dolphins and whales, because that's the ocean, the Galapagos Islands. And then to our south is Peru. And Peru just started this massive revolution with the president dissolving Congress this week. Just said, I have the right to dissolve Congress. Screw you guys, let's dissolve Congress. Because the Keiko Fujimori was making sure that nothing would get passed that the president wanted to do. He wanted to create a better life for Peruvians, and she blocked him at every turn. So he dissolved Congress and got rid of her job. And in turn, another branch of the government in Peru got rid of his job, basically said, you are on suspension for 12 months. So the president of Peru just got suspended, and the vice president of Peru is a woman. So now she's a female president, which is pretty cool, pretty damn cool. But she's just like, what the hell? Like, we didn't ask for any of this, you know. We were just trying to get some stuff done. And dissolving Congress, which forces a new general public election. And when they start the general election, then he knows he's going to get voted out, but at least he's pushing the freaking reset button. So all of Peru is in a damn revolution right now. To our south, to our north is all this crazy violence with all the refugees flowing in. And God bless the Venezuelans. My heart goes out to them, and I'm praying for Venezuela every day. And then to our east, we've got the Amazon jungle and Brazil, and the Brazilian Amazon jungle, which is freaking on fire. So how's your week been? I mean, it's just got chaos, like started off way over in Brazil and way over in Venezuela. And it's just like getting closer and closer and closer and closer. And bam, it's in my city. Chaos. I mean, just like 2 days after, I think I'm poisoned, right? From now on, I think I'm going to cook my own food. Thank you very much. I'm just like, dude, I can't believe it, man. But at least at the gas station, you know, she's got a lot of supplies. I can go over there and eat and grab some stuff to eat every day, you know, if I have to. And I got a lot of veggies, and I got some chicken, and I got some bacon, and I have eggs here, so I'm gonna have a bunch of vegetables and bacon and eggs in the morning, and I have my chicken. But crazy stuff, man. This chaos, man. People are burning tires. They were burning tires in downtown. I mean, I think they were dousing the people with tear gas. People were like literally lighting gasoline on fire. Just pouring gasoline on the ground and just freaking starting fires randomly. Chaos. Freaking rioting. Freaking chaos. And it's everywhere. It's just crazy. My friends, like, I'm so ashamed of my countrymen. I'm like, don't be. They're angry, and they have the right to express their anger, thank God. You guys remember what happened in Egypt and in Greece when they were rioting against the war that W started? The whole world is protesting against him. The whole freaking world. One man became so hated around the world that he united the whole world by being so evil, or at least having evil policies. And it's just so crazy. Trump is kind of doing the same thing, actually. For the most part, now he's going to be impeached, you know. That's chaos. Chaos in the U.S. and all the fires and all the crazy stuff that's happened there. Chaos. Chaos is everywhere, man. It's just been absolutely everywhere. The freaking Arctic is on fire. Everything is on fire. Everything is chaotic. Oh my God, what the hell? What the hell? Remember that old poem, Is the World Gonna End in Ice or in Fire? You know, all the fires are gonna cause an ice age. I mean, all I can do about it is just laugh. It's so cosmical. It's like this massive drama. This massive drama, man. I mean, just make popcorn, sit back and watch the damn show. It's all an illusion, albeit a persistent one. Mark Twain said, reality can be beaten with enough imagination. But rioting everywhere. Oh my God. My ex-boyfriend wrote me and said, we're in a revolution right now. Oh my God. He sent me a screaming face emoji. Peru was a mess when I lived there for 18 months. I must have protested with teachers and doctors and nurses and students, and I must have protested 10 different times. I accidentally marched with the communists for like 5 minutes, and then they handed me a brochure. I'm like, oh fuck, I'm not marching with you guys. I don't believe in communism. Oh my God, they revoked my citizenship. I don't want to march with these people. I was like, holy shit, I accidentally marched with the commies. Damn it, what's wrong with me? Not power to those people. Power to the people individually, but not power to the group of them. Not when they're communists. What the hell? I was like walking home from the mall with my kids, and we're walking, and the protest was going, and we're walking to the side of the protest, and they were like smiling at us, thinking we're marching with them. We're actually not marching, just walking back to the hostel. And then we were like, okay. And then they kind of looked at us and we're like, all right. And we did the power to the people sign with a fist raised, and then they handed us a brochure. We're like, holy shit, we're not going to march with the communists. What the hell is going on there? Oops. Got a little too enthusiastic about the marching and the writing and the protesting. But yeah, I've been in a lot of protests and a lot of riots in, Mexico, Colombia, Peru, and now Ecuador. I've seen a lot of crazy things, man. I was in a lot of protests in the U.S. too, though. Anyway, guys, I don't know. Life is freaking crazy, man. All right, I'm going to ask, higher self, am I connected to you? Or God, am I connected to you? We were 97 on the Ascension Symptom Scale today. Yes, I want to make sure. 97 today on the Ascension Symptom Scale. According to disclosurenews.it, where it's no longer Hertz frequency, but rather consciousness currents. The pattern of slight daily increase seems to be underway again. The activity saw first isolated peak at 1 UTC time, which reached 17 CC, and later during a more relevant phase, 22 CC at 6:30. I don't know why they're doing that. That's the Schumann Resonance, and then they're calling it consciousness currents, which is kind of cool. And kind of odd. All right, Heart Mouth Institute, they're still calling it frequency in hertz. Okay. California started off at 109 at 4 a.m. and they went up to 112 by 4 a.m. And at midnight, Hufuf, the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, started off at 110 hertz frequency. And the Schumann Resonance there went down to 106 by 4 a.m. In Lithuania, they started off at 175 at midnight, and they went to 172, just 3 points lower, by 4 a.m. And Alberta, Canada, started off at 178 hertz frequency on the Schumann Resonance scale, and by 4 a.m. they were at 189. In Northland, New Zealand, their values started off at midnight at 98 hertz frequency and went down to 94 by 4 a.m. Last but not least, Hulului. Oh my God, Hulului is so high. They're so high over there on the Schumann frequency. That is 272 hertz frequency at midnight, and by 4 a.m. they went down to 263. All right, we're going to jump on over now to acim.org, A Course in Miracles from the Foundation of Inner Peace. I love to read their stuff because it is so high in the vibrations. So, lesson 115 starts off with a review from lesson 99, which is salvation is my only function here. Salvation is my only function here. My function here is to forgive the world for all the errors I have made. For thus am I released from them with all the world. Salvation is my only function here. And the second part of today's review is taken from Lesson 100. My part is essential to God's plan for salvation. My part is essential to God's plan for salvation. I am essential to the plan of God for the salvation of the world, for He gave me His plan that I might save the world. My part is essential to God's plan for salvation. And there you have it, guys. I'm going to come right back, and when I come back tonight, we're going to clear up some of the meanings. We're going to go over some of the Hindu or Sanskrit words that have trickled their way down into the English language, and we use them on a daily basis, and we don't seem to know really what they are. We kind of have a gist of them, and I'm talking about things like dogma and dharma and karma and samadhi and mukti and moksha. Some of these words you have not heard. Some of these words you hear all the time, like karma and dharma. Like, what are these words really? I'm going to delve into it deeper because I want to know, and I figured maybe you guys want to know too. So I'm going to come right back with all of the definitions of these words, and we're going to discuss them right after these messages. If you haven't heard about Anchor, it's high time you did. It is the absolute easiest way to make a podcast. First of all, it's absolutely free. Second of all, they have creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or your computer. You guys have known that I've been doing this for 8 months using the Anchor.fm app right on my cell phone, and I have done it everywhere, right? I have recorded this in my living room, my bedroom, little cafes in Quito, Ecuador, all over Cuenca. It's so absolutely easy to make your podcast, and editing is just a snap. Anchor also will distribute your podcast for you, and it took me about 2.5 months to become syndicated, and now I'm available on Spotify, Apple Podcast, and many more, and so can you. You can make money from your podcast also, and there's no minimum requirement. You get paid from your very first listener. It is everything that you need to make a podcast all in one place. So please, if you are interested in making a podcast of your very own, do not hesitate to start with Anchor. Download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started today. Metaphysical Soul Speak is run on sponsors and listener support. This means listeners like you. If you are so inclined to support my efforts and my little podcast, please visit me at anchor.fm/metaphysical and pledge an amount of your choosing today. Thank you. All right, we're just going to go over a lot of definitions of words that you may or may not have heard, you may or may not have used, but don't really 100% know the meaning. And I know I have, so I'm going to look into it now. Correct myself if I have to. And it's never too late to learn. It's too late to learn new things when you're dead. So, hey, if you're listening to this, chances are 98% chance anyway, you're still alive. I say that because I'm assuming that some people in heaven are probably listening to the show. Okay, so dogma is, I don't even know if this is a Hindu word or Sanskrit word, but dogma is defined as principles or rules that cannot be questioned because they're articles of faith. And every religion has their own dogma. An example of dogma is the Ten Commandments in the Christian faith. There's also, political dogma, or I've heard of that, like political ideologies, like lower taxes, would be like the dogma of the Republican Party, for example. Not against lowering taxes, not at all. I'm not a Republican, not at all, but I'm not against lowering taxes. But that's like an example. Now, in Catholicism, for example, the 4 dogmas in Mariology, which I know, I guess it's a study of Mother Mary. Kind of weird, right? I wonder what she would think about all this. But the 4 dogmas of Mariology in the Catholic faith is perpetual virginity. She's always a virgin, even though that she had several kids through sex right after Jesus was born. So, all right, there's that. And that she is the mother of God, which also actually makes absolutely no sense. I mean, God created her, so she's his mother. That's like putting the cart before the horse. Okay, I don't get this at all. Immaculate conception, meaning she did not have sex, was a virgin, and then was able to conceive Jesus. I actually kind of do believe it's possible. Actually, they did discover, and this is really fun, fun fact, the scientists did discover that in times in which men have gone off to war and women were left for years on end without a man, the female body has the ability to suddenly create its own sperm, and women can get themselves pregnant. Woo! I mean, that old feminist dogma of a woman needs a man like a fish needs a bicycle. I mean, makes a lot more sense now that you've heard that, right? We could get our own selves pregnant? Really, really crazy, right? And then the last dogma of Mariology is assumption. I don't even know what that means, and I'm not going to assume. We're just going to leave that one alone. Not touch that one with a 10-foot Catholic priestly pole. So that's basically the principle or set of principles laid down by an authority as being incontrovertibly true. That is what dogma means. All right. So, and again, I don't even know if that's a Sanskrit word. It does end with ma, like karma and dharma. So I'm assuming it might possibly, but I wanted to get that out of the way in case you were always wondering what that meant. Okay. So, let's see. We're going to go through karma and dharma now. Okay, now there's difference between .net that I'm taking this information from. So it says no matter what religious tradition you follow, you will be asked to live a moral life by the tenets of that religion, which, as we just learned, is called dogma, right? So the terminology always varies, of course, but basically it's the basic messages everywhere, all around the world over. Just be nice to people. And eventually you're going to get your just rewards for being nice. So, hey, you know, breathing on those old nails and rubbing them on your collar like, yeah, that's right. I'm going to get my reward. Okay, so everybody has to follow the concepts of Dharma and Karma when they are in the religions of India, which are Sikhism, Hinduism, Buddhism, and Jainism. All the beliefs are asked to follow Dharma and Karma. Okay, so according to Difference Between .net, Dharma refers to one's duty in this life. Now, in India, your Dharma will vary according to your class, your family, and the time of your life. And I don't know what they mean by that. I hope you've had the time of your life. Oh, God bless you, Billy Joe Armstrong. Okay, so the time of your life, maybe that means the time period in which you live. Like if you're in the 1500s versus the 2000s, possibly. I don't know what they mean by that. So, karma refers to the actions that one does in relationship to one's Dharma. In a sense, Dharma could be seen as one's lifelong task, and karma are the steps that one has to take to complete the task. Okay, so let's see if we can put that into another way. What would your lifelong task be? Well, I know from myself, okay, I've told you guys that I know that I stupidly picked a life theme of being rejected. I have a life theme of rejection. And so everyone in my life has, at one point or another, rejected me. Doesn't mean that they didn't come back. You know, that I didn't become friends with them again later. But everyone has rejected me in my life, including my own parents. So that was maybe my Dharma, right? My duty in this life was to find God through a series of multiple rejections in which I learned that God is my one true and strongest, best, most powerful relationship in my life that will never leave me regardless. God is a one person, being, entity, what have you, that will never leave me, never reject me. And so every time someone rejected me, I would turn to God. So my Dharma was that. My task was to become closer and closer and closer to God. That was my biggest task in this life. So every time I was rejected by human love, I always knew that God's love was divine and perfect and unconditional. And I learned to love myself through that love instead of seeing myself through the eyes of other people, for example. And so my karma would probably be the steps that I take to learn these lessons. So turning to God, praying, looking into meditation, going down the spiritual path, giving my whole life, body, soul, heart, and mind to God and saying, hey, everything's in your hands because I've been screwing it up pretty much until now. So that was my karma to do that. Like, hey, I'm taking on the mantle and you tell me where to go and I'll go. I hope it involves travel, and I'd like to have enough money to do it so that I'm not struggling. Right after that, God killed off my husband and I got his retirement, and I've been taking my kids around, well, Central and South America and the United States for 9 years now. We've been traveling, since 2013. 6 years, 6.5 years. We've traveled, almost 7 years that we've been traveling. But and before we left the U.S., we actually traveled around California and Arizona, and you know, I've always taken my kids around Arizona and Mexico. Nevada. We love Nevada. It's one of our favorite states. Loving Nevada and California, of course. So that would be an example, at least from my life. So in your life, you could say, well, what has been my major duty in life? Maybe it's to take care of other people. Maybe it's to learn to stand strong and be bold and confident and brave on your own. You know, there's a lot of life themes. I haven't gone over that yet. I will do a life theme just so you guys get, a sense for it. Some people are victimizers as their life theme. Some people are victims as their life theme. Some people are humanitarians, and they serve humanity in a great, huge way where people in the whole wide world know about them, such as Nelson Mandela is a good example. Gandhi, another example of that. There's a lot of life themes, and everyone has a different one. And we have like the primary ones, and then sometimes we'll pick a secondary life theme, because life just isn't complicated enough. Got to mix it up a little, have a lot more, life lessons to learn. We all take on way more than we can chew, and we don't realize it. And we all have so much enthusiasm for coming here. And then we get here and we're like, what the hell was I thinking? Oh my God, this is like hard. It's always hard. It's hard when you get here. Easy when you're imagining what it'll be like. So, according to differencebetween.net, they say that Dharma can be a comforting or an unsettling concept. So on one hand, you can believe that if you follow the traditions of your family and your community, then you'll be completing your Dharma, as long as you hold the status quo up to the light, right? As long as you're a moral person. But some people question their personal Dharma, and they search for the true meaning of this, and they search outside of their communities. And so the quest for Dharma is a lifelong quest to figure out what it is. It can cause considerable stress, especially if you don't feel that you're properly following your Dharma. Like what if you have to be a public speaker for a living? That is your Dharma. You have to become like the next Martin Luther King, who inspired millions of people to this very day, long after he died. God bless his soul. He's one of my heroes. Maybe you're the next Malcolm X, but what if you know it on some level, but at the same time, you're introverted and you don't want anyone to look at you? Oh my God. So for some people, you might have the idea of what you have to do, but you're kind of scared to do it because what that might mean as far as going outside that normal box that you want to put yourself in, and what it might mean for you. People might call you crazy. People might shun you. People might reject you. They might push you out of their lives. It's really funny because everyone in my life, pretty much, almost everyone in my life had already either died or rejected me. So by the time I started this show, which is full of all kinds of crazy concepts, my crazy Heyoka wisdom, and, I'm channeling beings from outer space, for God's sake, it was hard for me to make the decision to do the show, but I'm trusting what the divine tells me, and the more I trust, the more listeners I get, and the more lovely letters I get. I got a wonderful email today from a new listener named Rebecca, and she said, I found you. I found your show. And she started like last week. It started with the January episodes. And she's like, I just knew something in my spirit. I started searching for you and I found you. I can't believe I found you. I'm so happy. You're like clearing up some things for me, basically, And I've heard this from a lot of people in the past month. Like, you have made me feel so much joy and so much love and so much self-acceptance that I didn't have. I wasn't getting that kind of support in my community, and so this I am learning now. Apparently, this is my Dharma. So baby, I'm so happy. Woo, baby. It's so awesome. It's so awesome. I'm like, well, people are just gonna think I'm freaking crazy, and they're either gonna listen to me because they're also crazy, or they're not, and I'm probably gonna be rejected by the rest of the people who haven't rejected me yet. People who thought I was all too normal till they hear my show, and then like, oh, slowly stepping away from me with their backs towards the door. They don't want to turn away from me. I'm just kidding. Hasn't totally been that bad, but a few people who said that they were spiritual and then they listened to my show were like, oh, that kind of spiritual. Yeah, that kind of spiritual. I told you it's crazy. It's crazy wisdom from a Heyoka lightning shaman. This is what you get when this is what you look for and ask for. My crazy jokes I make about sex or whatever that might make you uncomfortable because you need it to be uncomfortable so you can resolve issues in yourself. It's just what a Heyoka does, and it comes automatically, I put my foot in my mouth automatically, and it's just the way I was built, so that I can make you uncomfortable so you can elevate yourself and raise your consciousness about certain beliefs or attitudes or ideas that you held that weren't serving you anymore. So, okay, going back to this article, they say that karma is often thought of as like a cosmic tally book. Tally man, tally me banana, ooh. Cosmic tally book, what the hell? That's great. All the actions you do, good and bad, are recorded. Some people believe that if your good actions outweigh your bad, you'll move to a higher level in your next rebirth. And if your bad actions outweigh your good, then you'll move to a lower level on your next rebirth. Oh, okay. See, because I was raised in the Catholic karma way, in which if your good actions outweigh your bad, you go to heaven. If your bad actions outweigh your good, you go to hell, and you apparently dance with the devil for the rest of your life. While also being simultaneously burned and poked and prodded and tortured in a million horrible ways, which the nuns like to point out on sunny Monday mornings. I am not Catholic anymore. I just can't even with that. So, other people believe that every action needs a balance. So, if you do something good for someone in this life, then the next life, he or she will repay your favor. Same thing with debts. And there are... That's very simplistic. What I've learned about karma... I don't know. I don't know. It does seem like for every bad thing that happens, something good happens. And for every good thing that happens, something bad happens. And this is also the world of duality. And the karmic cycle, when you hurt someone or murder them in one life and you come back together in another life, they might murder you. Tit for tat, an eye for an eye, a life for a life, a body for a body. But a lot of it's a lot more subtle than that. That's pretty obvious. My kid that I'm living with, my youngest son, and I have not had the best of roads together in other lifetimes. And we're now balancing that karma out now with each other every freaking day. It's like a damn struggle sometimes. We love each other so much, though. So much love between us. But in one life, he was a French aristocrat, and I was the person running the damn guillotine. And so, no harm, no foul. It's just my job. But I chopped his head off. Him and hundreds of other people. That's why the executioner has to wear a hood, because no one's supposed to recognize us. We're supposed to be anonymous. It was a crappy job, but someone has to do it during the French Revolution, and well, that was me. Angel of death turned executioner during the French Revolutionary War. Damn it. And so then the other thing was, well, my son burned me at the stake for being a witch, which I was, to be fair, but I don't think it was fair that we got burned at the damn stake. We didn't cause harm to anyone outside of our witch community. We didn't even harm each other. We just, I did sleep around on my wife. I maybe did deserve for being burned at the stake for hurting her so much. And I had my karma with her in this life too. And I ran into her. I accidentally called her phone like 2 or 3 times until we both realized this is a karmic thing. Like I would call the number and my phone wouldn't dial a 1. It was supposed to, and it didn't ever. For every other phone call that I made, it dialed 1 first. And for her phone number, it left off the 1. And I kept getting a wrong number until we realized we needed to be together. And then she came to literally stay at my house for 3 days, the first day we met. And it was just so weird and so cosmic. And we were just like going everywhere, holding hands. Like we'd known each other our whole lives, and swinging our arms back and forth and singing together and dancing and skipping like little children together. Like we had always known each other forever and ever and ever. It's like from the day we met. We even bought a rabbit fur coat together from the Salvation Army, and we decided to share custody of it. I mean, completely ridiculous. I mean, it's like immediate, absolute best friendship until we realized what our karma was with each other. And she realized, I'm still mad at you from that lifetime a long time ago. And we had to jump backwards over a broom together to break our marriage that had apparently been a hand fasting bonding ritual that was to last forever. And my oldest kid looked at me and said, "Oh yeah, I remember this situation." And we're like, "What?" And she said, "Yeah, I was the one that married you guys, and I did a hand fasting ritual that would bound you for eternity. I bound your souls together, so your karma has been wrapped up and tied together for eternity." And she found out that I had been sleeping with other people in all the lifetimes since that lifetime, which made her angry because she had remained a virgin throughout all those lifetimes, waiting to be back with me again. Crazy crap. Crazy karma. That are some examples, at least from my lives, of my karma. And I swear to God, as soon as we jumped backwards over that broom, I heard a ding above our heads. And all of a sudden, she didn't want anything to do with me. She's like, "I'm sleeping on the couch." Like before, she would like sleep in my bed, like next to me, even though she wasn't gay and there was nothing going on between us. She had to be near me, like on her side of the bed, and I'd be on my side of the bed. But like we had to be together. We just felt like the energy, we have to be together. We were like blending our auras and really like we were a married couple. I was a man in that life, but and this, so it was like really awkward in this life. We jumped backward over the broom and suddenly it was like we were divorced. What the hell? So and then all of a sudden she just wrote me a really nasty email, didn't talk to me for years. Rejected me. So that was my karma. I deserve it because I cheated on her for like several lifetimes in a row, apparently. I totally forgot and she remembered. My bad. I probably did deserve to get burned at the stake, just to be honest, for what I was going to do to her in the future, as well as what I had done to her in that life. And the woman who I had cheated on her with in that life, she and I met in Lima, Peru, and we're really good friends. And we've been good friends since the day we met. And what was weird is she said, I've often thought about maybe being a lesbian. Do you want to be a lesbian with me? And I'm like, what the hell? And I told her who she was and who we were in that life. She's like, oh, that's why I'm feeling this way about you. I'm like, yeah, you were like one of my true loves from a past life back when I was a man and you were a woman. And that was the thing. That was the energy of it. You know, you can't just like change your gender or you can't change your gender. You know, you are your gender. Your physical body is what it is, but your gender identity is what it is. You know what I mean? So you can't change your gender identity and you can't change your sexual identity. You know, like if you either are or you aren't, you know, you have to figure that out for yourself, but you can't just become a lesbian because you met me, right? And she's like, yeah, I know. It's like kind of weird because I kind of like guys, but I love you. I'm like, I know, I love you too. But that's our karma. And we're like, we had to work that out. We had to figure it out, you know? So, you know, my son and I, our karma is to not kill each other in this life, apparently. We pretty much have an understanding that we're going to live together and we're not going to kill each other and we're going to love each other. And we're going to try to learn how to understand each other because we're completely diametrically opposed as far as the way our minds think, the way our minds function, the way our senses of humor are. Sometimes we have a good laugh together and it works, but our karma is to work all this stuff out. An extremely liberal person and an extremely not liberal, you know, conservative person. So in your life, it might be playing out in these weird little mini dramas with your people around you, you know? So you might like notice certain things about certain people. Like, you know, when I met my girlfriend Vera, I talked about this in one episode where we saw each other from across a crowded convention hall and we started screaming and yelling and hollering and hooting and hollering and just like running into each other's arms, jumping up and down and screaming our heads off and laughing and crying and kissing each other's cheeks. And then after 10 minutes, we realized we'd never seen each other in this life ever. And who the hell were we? She told me your name. I'm like, no, it's not your name. Well, she's like, well, what's your name? I'm like, I told her, and she's like, that's not your name. And then we burst out laughing. We're like, we don't even know who we are. And we don't even know who each other are, but how do we know each other? And we just started laughing our heads off and crying even more. And all the people around us just thought we're completely nuts because our souls recognize each other. And I love her so much. She's like, I don't know what, like my sister or something. And she's like one of my very best friends from the minute we met. And we thought we had already, she's like, how come you're not calling me? And I'm like, I don't have your number. And then we realized we'd never met each other in this life. We're like, what the hell's wrong with us? And then when I went over to her house and I met her daughter's fiance, my son met him and he said, oh my God. And he hugged him and he goes, well, you were my brother in Italy. You don't remember? And he's like, what? He's like, well, we were grape farmers. We made wine. He's like, sure, you remember. We were in charge of the winery when Dad died. And this guy just started getting the chills and he started freaking out. I was like, oh my God. Oh my God. This is so weird. This is so weird. And it's like, yeah, remember later I became the priest and you became in charge of the wine. And my little son remembered everything from that life and recognized his soul. And he's like, oh, this is freaking me out. That's karma. That's like a karma thing, you know? And then your Dharma, you got to figure out what you're supposed to be in this life and how you work through that karma. So my idea of karma isn't tit for tat, bad for good, good for bad. It's just kind of, you have to help other people that you screwed up in the past life. You know, I was murdered by someone in one of my lifetimes that I will probably never meet. And I think that was just, I ran across an evil spirit. And so I think a third of the souls are evil and there's not going to be a reckoning there so much. Quite possibly there will be, but a lot of times when it's in certain circumstances, I don't think the karma has to be balanced in those ideas. So let's see. It says your Dharma influences the type of karma that your actions will bring about. You know, so, and Dharma is something that one must spend a lifetime achieving. And karma can change from moment to moment. And I do believe that that's possible. Okay, so as far as like if you just go out and give to charity, or you give of yourself, or you donate your clothes or what have you, and you do it with a lot of love in your heart, and it's very freeing, then that does put out a lot of good energy in the world, and it does boomerang back around to you. You put good energy into the world, it's going to come back around to you. So, let's see. And I mean, if you're negative, and also if you're negative to someone, negative stuff is going to happen. And I think I told you guys, when you look back at my Karmic Cities episode, and I talked about Santa Barbara, there was this one incident where I totally screwed my immediate karma. And Santa Barbara is one of those places of karma where you're gonna get your karmic lesson so fast until you change who you are and you come closer to the center and the core of your being. When you reach more your Buddha nature, like we're talking in Nichiren Buddhism the other day, you all have the Buddhahood inside you, that internal, deep, ascended master. It's there. But you have all these extra layers of things that keep you from that, keep you distracted, or, your negative energy, or your anger, or your jealousy, or your karma, can keep you from your internal, personhood, that, your Buddhahood or your Ascensionhood. I don't know, like the good part of you that's like that perfect nature, your one true nature. But I was like on the bus, had the quarter in my hand, or 75 cents or whatever, and I was getting on the bus I was going to pay, and I forgot. And the bus driver was just kind of happy, looked into my eyes, he smiled, I smiled at him. Oh, hey, how you doing, man? Get on the bus, sit down. I had the money in my hand still now, and looked at my boyfriend. I went, look at this, 75 cents. It was 75 cents now that I remember. Only 75 cents. Woohoo, money in my pocket, baby. We get off the bus, and he says, you know what? Let's buy a newspaper. Let's buy a newspaper because I want to read the comics, and I want to read the sports page. And it might not be bad to check out the rest of the news as well. We're in a new city. We've just moved to Santa Barbara, California. So I'm like, all right, take out the 75 cents that I saved from the bus, because, I'm just hot shit like that. Not. But I thought I was in that moment. My ego got the best of me because I wasn't humble and I didn't pay my due. I put 75 cents in that Sunday edition Santa Barbara News Press and machine, and guess what? It ate my money. I lost my money immediately and had to get another 75 cents out of my purse. And that I actually was able to open the machine. So I lost the 75 cents immediately. And that was like my spiritual keeper. My spiritual teacher, from the upper realms. He was like, no. It was like he grabbed my ear and pulled me by my ear and said, no, you dropped that 75 cents, young lady. It's not yours. That was not sanctioned for you. That's how it felt living in Santa Barbara. It felt like that every damn day. My karma was just like, oh my God. I would think a negative, judgmental thing about somebody, and then I would be tripped. Like literally fall flat on my face. Oh, she thinks she's so hot wearing those pants. She shouldn't be wearing that. Whoa! And I'd fall and hit my face on the ground. And then I'd walk through life with a bruise on my face for the next 3-4 days. And I so deserved it for being so mean and judgmental, even in my own mind. I mean, I knew what the Bible said that Jesus had said. Growing up, I had grown up as a Christian. I was, raised Catholic and then later Lutheran, and I knew. You look at a man with lust in your heart, you've committed the sin in your body already. You know, and I knew that applied to every negative thought you could have for another person, good or bad or negative or whatever karma you're constantly creating with your thoughts, with your mind, which is all powerful. All right, so I was stubborn, man. I was constantly being tripped, being made to lose money when I was screwing up, like... I mean, seriously, when I get to heaven, I'm going to have to like build this massive, beautiful cake and give this to my spiritual guides. They all deserve it. I have more than one. I've had like 3 spiritual guides in my lifetime. Like they couldn't handle, like one of them couldn't handle me. Like I've been so stubborn, so hard to learn. And that's my karma also. All right. So according to Britannica.com, they talk about Hindus generally accepting the doctrine of transmigration and rebirth and the complementary belief in karma, as they say. And so they're talking about rebirth. So when you die and then you're reincarnated again to learn more lessons, usually related to the past lessons that you didn't quite get the first time. So you have to be born and then you die, then you're reborn, then you die, then you're born. And it's just a cycle over and over and over again. Well, according to Britannica.com, this cycle of karma with no clear beginning or end that encompasses perpetual lives and serial attachments to multiple people where you have your group soul. You've got your basic group, you know, your soul family, the people that you come around a lot. You know, like my kid, he and I keep killing each other in other lives. We're finally together and we're definitely not going to kill each other in this life. Although we've gotten pretty angry at each other in this life because we're just so different. But we love each other so much. I mean, I love him, you know, love him to the rest of my life. And my oldest and I were always together in magical lifetimes, and we were best of friends, and I was lonely in my whole life until he decided to be born finally. Then he haunted my dreams until I finally got pregnant. He's like, go get pregnant, go. Like I was having these dreams where he's this little kid going, you better do it now. Like he's so mad. I want to be born, damn it. And I want to be born through you. I'm like, well, you better be born through me because you're my best friend. We have these like families, these, you know, so the whole process of rebirth is called samsara, 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 and it's cyclic in nature. So according to this, it says that actions generated by desire and appetite will bind your spirit, which is called jiva, 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 to an endless series of births and deaths. So like when you're desiring food or sex or social interactions that are based in desire, when you're trying to get food out of someone or trying to have sex with somebody, that results in this good, bad karma thing, right? So in at least the Hindu belief system, the salvation of all of that, the samsara, the good and bad karma, is emancipation, which is called moksha, from this existence, to escape this constant cycle of karma, birth, death, karma, birth, death, karma, birth, death, right? So this is, moksha means to be emancipated from it, to just be liberated and completely free from this. And it becomes pretty damn mundane, you know? So let's see, what else do they say? We have to escape by waking up our consciousness and ascending in our nature. We have to transcend the world of duality to create the world in which we know. on a deep visceral level, that we are one with each other and we are unified, and that we are to live in unity and harmony with one another, which will delete all the karma. Delete. Boop, it's gone. So there are several paths, and in Hindu, in Sanskrit, these paths are called margas. The word marga means path. And there's paths towards release. One is, the Bhagavad Gita. And they talk about the 3 paths of salvation in the Bhagavad Gita. The karma marga, which is the path of ritual action or the path of duties. And the path of knowledge, which is Jnana marga. And let's see here, the path of devotion, which is called Bhakti Marga, which is love for God, love for a personal God. And the, the path of knowledge is also the disinterested discharge of ritual and social obligation. So you just kind of shun all of it. Shun. It's like salting Gale the snail. You shun it. I don't know if you guys ever saw a horrible episode of It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, where there's this woman named Gale, and they called her Gale the snail, and they started they're throwing salt at her. Oh, bullying isn't funny, but that scene was hilarious. I'm sorry. Sorry if you've ever been called Gale the snail and anyone threw salt at you. My apologies for laughing, but oh my God, just the look on Danny DeVito's face. I just, in that episode, oh, okay. All right, so if you go through yoga, which means union with God, and you go through systematic and contemplative ethical training, you start to have this super intellectual insight. You start lifting your own energy up and vibrations up, where you start to see more and more. You start to have a bigger and better view of everything. And that's how you get out of the cycle of karma. So, let's see. And what did we say? We said moksha was liberation, right? Yes. Moksha. So in India, there's a lot of temples and people do a lot of rituals. They do a lot of things to release their moksha. And it says that they also have to follow the 3 paths in order to achieve their goals of world maintenance, which is also their Dharma, doing what they came here to do. Their duty, what they planned to do when they got here. What do you guys want to do from the moment you got here? Maybe you're an entertainer. Maybe your thing is to entertain the masses and help them escape for moments at a time from their daily drama lives, their chaos. And that's a very worthy goal, because people do need that. They need the entertainment in the world. Or maybe you are a nurse or a doctor. Maybe, you teach a creative art, dancing, painting, drawing. Maybe you teach yoga, you help people get out of their yucky minds, their little minds, their little self, and help them raise their vibrations where they can open up to their higher self. So you have to figure out, what is it that is your direct Dharma, and what is your thing that you do. So there are certain universal maxims, according to Britannica.com, in Hinduism, including ahimsa, which means the desire not to harm anybody. So it says that there, in the Hindu traditions, there are particular dharmas that fit into the 4 major varnas, which is like life paths in general. So they have the Brahmins, which are priests. The warriors and nobles are the Kshatriyas. The Vaishyas are the commoners. And the Shudras are the servants. So for me, that just seems like that's just what, from their system of karma, and they view everybody in different classes as that's their karma. That's what they deserve to be, because that's what they chose it before they got here, and they deserve to be there because that's where their soul level is at. You know, and that's, from the outsider's perspective, extremely unfair. Everyone's treated equally by God's love. The sun shines equally on every set of shoulders. So, you know, looking as an outsider looking into this caste system, it seems highly unfair, at least to me, but to a lot of people, actually. But people in India tend to accept their lot in life and go, well, it's just where we're at because this is where we chose to be. Period. You know, so people accept themselves more there in India, I believe. I don't know. I haven't talked to enough people there. I've talked to a lot of people there, but I should ask more about that. And the jatis, that's another name for castes. And let's see. Let's see here. There's 4 stages of life. I don't know if I'm going to get into this. Yeah, this gets a little bit deeper. So now I'm going to go over a couple other things. So a lot of people toss around the word Samadhi. Samadhi. Okay. So I'm going to go to ananda.org, and the guy who founded the Ananda Foundation, he trained and studied directly under Paramahansa Yogananda, but because in a past life he was a king and he had a very big ego and he was a narcissist, he was no different in this life and decided he could do better than Paramahansa Yogananda himself, went off and started his own organization. And when he told Yogananda that he was going to leave the ashram, Yogananda said, yeah, I know all about your karma, and I know all about you, and I knew about you the day I met you. You know, because he's an ascended master, he knew everything. And he said, well, this is just what you have to do, and I understand, and you have my blessing, because this is your path that you need to follow. This is your ego that you need to satisfy until you realize that, you know, there's a different way. But it's something you're going to take a few more lifetimes to figure out, so go with my blessing, right? But having said that, he actually has a lot of really good ideas that came directly from Yogananda. I mean, but one thing I don't like about it, his ego's into all of it. Like, he took Paramahansa Yogananda's book, Autobiography of a Yogi, and changed the cover from orange to blue, and took all the pictures out that he wasn't in and put all the pictures of him standing next to Yogananda. I mean, it's all ego-based crap. It's just because he was a king and a narcissist in a past life, and possibly in this one too. And there's a lot of rumors about the guy trying to sleep with people in the organization. So don't go to Ananda. You know, they're not going to put a hood over your head and take you off in a van, but you know, they might try to, don't go there. Although I've met people that have gone there and they're very sweet, loving, amazing human beings. So, you know, but just don't go there. Go to Self-Realization Fellowship directly, not to this one. But he does have really good definitions. So what he says here is perfect union of the individualized soul with infinite spirit. That is what Samadhi is. A state of oneness, complete absorption. Samadhi literally means to direct together, is the state in which the yogi perceives the identity of his soul as pure spirit. It is an experience of divine ecstasy as well as superconscious perception, where the soul will perceive the entire universe at once. So human consciousness becomes one with cosmic consciousness. The soul realizes that it is much more than the conditioned body. And the Christian saints describe this as the mystical marriage, when the soul merges with God and becomes one with Him. So there is Samadhi, where you have like bits and pieces of it and it comes to you and you're just like, whoa, and you get this massive awareness. And then you have your final stage, Samadhi, which if you have been doing your spiritual work all along, you will enter into the state right before you pass into the next world after you leave your body, like for the last time. So like, for example, Paramahansa Yogananda knew when he was going to leave, and he said his farewells to everybody. He had his last meal. He gathered everyone around and told everyone, this is my last meal with you guys. I am going to leave my body this afternoon. But first I'm going to have some coconut milk and mangoes because it's my favorite fruit in the world. So he had that, and there's a picture that's my most favorite picture in the whole wide world, of him at least. And it's him smiling, and it's called The Last Smile. And he looked directly into the camera and gave all this love and cosmic energy. And he was already in a state of Samadhi. He was already in a state of blissful awareness of his divine union with the Creator, 100%. And he was aware, seeing through every eye, hearing through every ear, thinking through every mind. And he had that cosmic consciousness 100%. And he gave this last smile. They snapped the picture. He closed his eyes and left his body, consciously aware. And when that happened, he left his body perfectly preserved. In fact, over 50 years later, just recently, they opened his body up from the morgue at Forest Lawn mortuary. They pulled the drawer out, and his body looks like he's been sleeping, and he fell asleep yesterday. That's it. I mean, he left a perfectly preserved body. So Samadhi is not only for Hindus. A lot of Catholic mystics, Catholic saints, were actual true saints, and they left an incorruptible body behind. When you have entered into Samadhi multiple times, and then in your final breath, you're in Samadhi, you're going to leave a perfectly preserved body. You know, like Paramahansa Yogananda was overweight. He was out of shape a little bit, you know, so it doesn't mean you're going to leave a perfect body, you know, like according to the hard body, you know, 1980s me generation definition of perfect. You're not going to leave, you know, it's not going to be like that. But you will leave a incorruptible body. You're going to leave a body in which, if you decide to come back in 20, 30, 40, 50, 100 years, you can jump right on back into that body, and it will be perfectly functional. It's pretty crazy stuff, right? Now, according to Ananda.org, he says, and this is, I did read this in Yogananda stuff as well. I would have gone to Yogananda's page, but it's the same information. He does at least, thank you God, teach the exact same information. You know, he didn't try to change his own definitions and stuff. It's just he lets ego get in the way of some of the stuff. So there's Sabikalpa Samadhi and Nirbikalpa Samadhi. So there are two stages to Samadhi. Now, Sabikalpa Samadhi is a state of conditioned oneness. The meditator experiences the merging of his soul with infinite consciousness. However, he cannot preserve the experience outside of meditation. Now, even though Sabikalpa Samadhi is the first break from delusion, in which the meditator realizes that God alone exists, the soul is still bound by ego consciousness. Some souls who achieve this state return to delusion, that if they hold on to the belief that I have access to infinite power. Yeah, exactly. See, he understands the ego. He knows he has the ego. He understands it. He also used his ego to try to get in the pants of a lot of the people in this ashram. So don't go to Ananda, because I've heard a lot of bad things, but the information on the website is real and good. You know, Don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. So beyond Sabikalpa Samadhi, Nirvikalpa Samadhi is a state of unconditioned oneness. The soul rises above all ego bondages and realizes that it is eternally one with God. It becomes a Jivan Mukta. And Mukta is the same thing as, I think the same as Moksha. Okay. But in order to achieve full liberation from ego involvements, it has to work through the memories of ego attachments in the world, which is what we're all now collectively as a whole learning through our transcendence of the world of duality through our ascension of humanity. And that's why we all have to go through all this crazy stuff. We're having these crazy dreams and timeline hopping and doing all this stuff because as a whole, we're being forced to grow spiritually, to raise up and get rid of our ego attachments and ascend our former selves. So while working or speaking, when you have Nirvikalpa Samadhi, the soul will maintain its divine consciousness without any chance at all of returning to delusion. And that is what we are all working for too, right now. I don't have Nirvikalpa Samadhi, even though all 12 of my chakras are open. I am not even there yet. I've had bits and pieces of Sabikalpa Samadhi. And I hope that we can all together rise up and hit the Nirvikalpa Samadhi when we ascend soon. I hope we all get there soon. God willing, and the creeks don't rise. And if they do rise, it's just a chaos. We need to get there. So there's different kinds of samadhi depending on the object of the meditation. Aum Samadhi is a state experienced when one merges with God through the cosmic Om or Aum, A-U-M or O-M, okay? And so there's a poem by Paramahansa Yogananda called Samadhi that describes what it's like from a yogi's point of view to experience Samadhi. So I refer you to that if you want to do further research on your own, and maybe someday I'll come back and read it to you. Anyway, those are some of the Hindu words or the Sanskrit words that we toss about in our everyday life, and now you know what they mean. I hope you've enjoyed this episode of Metaphysical Soul Speak, the podcast. Send any question, comments, or anything at all, ideas for upcoming shows also, to metaphysicalsoulspeak@gmail.com. Thank you for listening and sharing with your Facebook groups and your Yahoo groups. Do they even exist anymore? I don't know. Okay, Instagram, Twitter, email lists. Thank you for telling everybody about the show. Spreading the word helps. Putting a iTunes little blurb. Give me, the stars you believe I deserve, whether it's 3, 4, 5, whatever. Thank you for doing that. Thanking you in advance. Also, I do need your ghost stories, your spooky spirit stories, woo, for a special Halloween episode that I will call Metaphysical Ghost Speak. And also, I need Santa Claus stories, any Christmas miracles that you have received, even if they are Hanukkah miracles or Diwali miracles. I want to put those in a very special episode in the Christmas time. Whether or not you're Christian doesn't matter. Anytime you've even seen Santa Claus or had a weird miracle, some weird circumstance surrounding those holidays or during that season particularly, because I have a feeling, even if you don't believe, there's some miracles that are going to occur. And I want to hear about them, and you know what? So does my listening audience. So please don't hesitate or be afraid to share these wonderful stories. But that's all I'm going to say about that for now, as I'm running out of time. I love you guys. Thank you for being here and for your continued support. But now I am signing off with peace and joy and the high vibes of the holy fifth dimension. Until next time, guys, peace. Do you ever wish you could look into the next chapter in your book of life and see what's coming next? What does the universe have in store for you? I can help you with that. I will give you a Celtic cross reading, which is 10 cards, or you can ask me 3 questions, and I use 3 cards per question. So that's 9 cards, or I can channel your higher guidance, or maybe God directly for you. Maybe you want to talk to your dear departed Aunt Edna, because maybe you have a few questions and she was the smartest person you knew. If your deceased relatives are available or your ascended masters, I can channel them for you personally. Let me have 1 hour to show you the future in your next chapter of your book of life. Readings are $75, and it takes me an hour to an hour and a half to complete. And for this price, you will also be hooked up to the healing grid around the planet for free, which means yours truly, me, I will be giving you Reiki 24 hours a day, 7 days a week for the rest of your life. All you have to do is let me know. metaphysicalsoulspeak@gmail.com, and we will explore your future together.